It's funny to see people think that I used CGI for my previous video. Well, he's actually real, and today I'm going to show you the physics behind how I made my life-size droid. I started by finding something round and as big as him. I used a beach ball, some old newspapers, and a lot of glue for making a sphere out of paper mache. I then made his head out of a large styrofoam ball. I applied a layer of putty and sanded the body for a smoother finish. Proportions were measured from the Sphero toy for doing the paint job. The eyes were made from a Christmas ball and the others from junk plastic. I then cut the body in half using a hacksaw and also cut wood for the mechanism's base. I installed the motors, the Arduino, and all the other electronics on the base. I then plugged it into my computer and programmed it manually. I used Bluetooth and my phone to control it. Magnets and deodorant heads were used to keep the head intact while moving. I then reassembled the body and now I have a droid. This is my second version of my do-it-yourself BB-8 droid, and today I am going to show you what's inside and how he works. This droid is actually capable of having artificial intelligence, but today we're going to override him using my smartphone and show you how the whole thing works. The droid can turn left and right, which is pretty mesmerizing, and it can also turn forward and backward by pressing this button. Goes forward and backward. Now let's switch to my wide-angle camera and see what's going on inside of this droid. Now the droid turns forward and backward because it has two motors connected to its central axis, one over there and one over here. Now the motor shaft is connected to the outer shell, which is actually lighter than the whole thing inside. Now the reason why this thing is vertically intact is because it has a low center of gravity of weights right at the bottom. Now when the shaft turns counterclockwise, the bot turns forward, and if it turns clockwise, it moves backward. Now you're most probably wondering, how does this thing turn left and turn right? It's actually pretty simple. You have a mass at the bottom, which is actually made out of dumbbell weights, and you have a motor right over here. Ever heard of Newton's 3 laws of motion? This is actually a good demonstration and application on how those laws work. The first law is the law of inertia. You have a really heavy mass at the bottom and the outer shell is actually lighter, so when the motor tends to spin the plates at the bottom, the outer shell moves instead of the plates inside. And that's because the plates are heavier than the outer shell, and there's also a pivot point at the bottom. Now the third law of motion is called the action and reaction, and you may notice when this thing turns counterclockwise, the shell turns on the opposite direction, as you can see. And now for the frequently asked question, how does the head stay intact whenever the droid is moving? The answer is pretty simple. There are two very powerful magnets on the top called neodymium magnets, and it attracts the head at the very top, which also has magnets. So I have a magnet here and a magnet here. There are also homemade rollers here to make the bot move freely when the whole thing is attached